ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिः यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः. May we be fit and fine, healthy and robust to imbibe the great teachings of the Vedanta. In this session of this webinar, we are going to take up this topic, the blind leading the blind, an expression which appears in the Mundaka Upanishad, the very first Mundaka, the second section, the eighth mantra, has the Sanskrit expression andhena neeyamānā yathā andhāh. This whole world, with a lot of eminent people, talented people, highly gifted people, showing off, achieving things, making everybody else envy them, all the same, is steeped in spiritual ignorance. The message of this particular mantra may not be palatable to most people. A lot of people may look at it as utterly impractical or not possible. However, when we examine the matter very carefully, on one hand we realize that this indeed is the goal of life, and on the other we also clear many a misunderstanding. For example, people think that the Vedanta is condemning the life of action. The Vedanta is asking everybody to go for renunciation. People misunderstand that the Upanishads are as though asking us not to enjoy this world, its beauty, its grandeur, etc. That's a misunderstanding. All the Upanishads do is acknowledge, completely admit that this world has so much to offer, and the Upanishads, in fact, appreciate and even admire those who perform beautifully and shine on the stage of this world. But like in the mantra, in the context, in the Mundaka Upanishad, the message is, all right, but then what is it that you seek in the heart of hearts of yours? Even when people win medals and trophies, even when they become very accomplished, are they totally free of discontent, of fear, of regrets, or of some anxiety? The answer, whether we like it or not, is a simple no. So Upanishads, let me repeat, fully appreciate and honor, respect the beauty of life, and then they say there is more to go. There are more milestones to be crossed. In Sri Ramakrishna's famous parable, there is a woodcutter who earns his living by cutting wood in the forest, and a sadhu advises him to go 5 miles deeper into the forest. The woodcutter finds, upon going that extra 5 miles, that there are precious teak wood, and he gets much more profit in cutting a teak wood tree. And then the same sadhu, as the story continues, guides the woodcutter to go even deeper into the forest, find sandalwood trees, and so on. This is a parable, but this holds good light. This actually has very much relevance to what we are discussing in this session, the Upanishads say wood is great, teak wood is even better, and sandalwood, yes, most wonderful. But then that's not the end of the story. Go another five miles into the forest. You will find gold and diamond. Brahma-jnāna, Brahma-vidya is thus the highest accomplishment, and in fact, to put it in another way, it's the only accomplishment that sets at rest our inner sorrow, our inner unrest. Ending of sorrow is possible through the insight that I am not this doer at all. Now, that is Brahma Vidya. The present context is to understand how, in what way our activities, even the service-minded activities in this world, are flawed. They do have sad limitation. Near Bombay, there was a saint who breathed his last just a few years ago. His name was Dada Gavand. Dada Gavand says, out of his deep pondering, out of his deep reflection on life, and out of his spiritual understanding, he says these words: the mind is misusing energy, scattering it everywhere in a very clever and subtle way, in petty little pursuits and self-intoxicating drives. Look at the words Dada Gavand uses, saying our mind is wasting, misusing its energy. And he calls a spade, referring to those activities which ordinarily fill us with pride, fill us with a sense of great satisfaction. Ah, we did some wonderful thing, etc. He says the clever and subtle ways the mind misuses its energy, and uses the word in self-intoxicating ways. Somebody thinks that, I lived for the country. Somebody says, I lived for the church or the temple. And somebody says, I worked for the greatest noble cause. All right. Moment you say moment you say, I am now at a higher level, all others are way behind, the Vedanta comes in exactly there. Where there is this I, even in subtle, self-intoxicating ways, as Dada Gavand put it, you are still bound. The Upanishad mantra, paving the way to an intense study of self-knowledge, of Brahma-jnāna, of that which is free from the entire process of traveling and reaching, as making way, paving the way for that highest insight. The Upanishad says, andhena neeyamānā yathā andhāh. That particular mantra deserves to be recited in full. Avidyāyam antare vartamānāh swayam dhīrāh panditam manyamānāh janghanyamānāh pariyanti mūಢāh andhenaiva neeyamānā yathā. Like blind people who don't know how to go, where to go, are led, alas, by other blind people who know better actually. And they are described, both the people who are led and the people who are leading are described, avidyāyam antare vartamānāh. They are steeped in ignorance. spiritual ignorance. They think they are doing some good work. They think if it is sakāma karma, desire prompted action, man makes some profit in one of his businesses. A lady writes a book and it sells like hotcakes, and she is invited all over the world to speak more on her topic. The man or the lady or anybody feels, I am now accomplished. This I being described as not doing well before, but now doing very well, etc., is spiritual ignorance. The Upanishads uncompromisingly say, where one knows the self is false, there alone is wisdom. The self, the little I, that is perceived as apart or other than other people. As a result, one perceives oneself as either staying behind or getting ahead and so on. That is just a bundle of memories. The falsity of the self is a quantum leap from the whole domain of all forms of action, all forms of karma. Broadly, karma is of two kinds, sakāma karma, nishkāma karma. Both sakāma karma and nishkāma karma happen or take place when somebody has the sense of karta, kartritva buddhi. Therefore, the mantra says, Swayam dhīrāha panditam manyamānāh. They think of themselves as very intelligent, very wise, very learned. Manyamānāh. They think so, but they truly are not. Janghanyamānāh. They actually get beaten up either openly or in their privacy. They have pangs of disappointment or anger, or if not anything else, are they spared? As in Shankara's commentary it is mentioned, are they spared from hosts of evils like old age, disease, etc.? Old age, disease, some accident, some fall, some injury, or loss of memory, loss of relationships. Number of things happen to everyone. If for that matter, even Mahatmas, holy people also get deceived. They are let down by their own so-called best disciples. Their own best followers desert them, sometimes at the time of utmost need. But if someone is truly a Mahatma, then that Mahatma is not operating in the domain of avidya, in the domain of karma. Though outwardly he or she is in karma, inwardly the Mahatma knows, I am not doing anything. I never won anything, I never lost anything, I never gained anything, I never failed to reach anywhere. In Shankara's commentaries, especially at a number of places, he uses a very thought-provoking expression. He says, Sadhya sadhana lakshanam, referring to millions of things that you and I could do physically, mentally, verbally, intellectually, directly or indirectly, no matter how. With regard to a million things that you and I could do, individually, collectively, etc., socially or at home, the list is endless. With regard to these countless varieties of things that you and I may do, he puts one label, Sadhya Sadhana Lakshana. All these, are Lakshana. marked by, characterized by there being a sadhya, something to be attained, and to go with it, there is a sadhana. Sadhya sadhana lakshanam, karma, he would refer to. Sadhya sadhana lakshanam, pravrittim, he would say, and he would make a earnest appeal in the Upanishad Bhashyas. The wisdom of the Vedanta really is available. It works only for those who are totally detached to all that is sadhya sadhana lakshana. Moment our mind entertains an idea, I will do this and I will reach there. I will do this and I will get that. Even a scholar keeps dreaming, now I will write a book and it will become so well received. Then everybody knows who I am. So, moment you think of a sadhana, in the last example I gave, writing a book is sadhana, is a means, and becoming famous, popular, etc. is the end. So, sadhya sadhana lakshana is to be translated as whatever is marked by the division of the means and the end is bound to bring you back to square one. You are as unhappy as before, if not worse. Sadhya sadhana lakshaneshu karmasu viraktasya eva Upanishatsu adhikaraha brahma vidyayam adhikaraha, he says in his own words at various places. Typically, right at the beginning of an Upanishad, in his commentary, he would say that this wisdom is for virakta. And today in this world, in this Kali Yuga, there is hardly anyone who is virakta. To refer to one more parable of Sri Ramakrishna, we have a great scholar, very learned scholar of Srimad Bhagavatam, going to a king and saying to the king, "O king, O emperor, I have heard a lot about you. I have heard you have great regard for scriptures, for spirituality, for knowledge of the holy books. And I also heard that you admire especially the Purana called Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is what has made me come to your court, O king." The king said, "Yes, I highly adore scriptures. I marvel at saints and sages. I hold as the highest goal in life to gain the wisdom that is spoken of in scriptures." "You are right. Why have you come? So, what has made you come here?" The Pandit says, "Yes, please don't think I am boasting or I am projecting myself, but I can prove to you, I can show to you that in today's world, I am the most learned scholar with regard to Srimad Bhagavatam. And O king, I will be happy to teach you." And now the story gets an unexpected twist. The same king who had just now said that he adored scriptures and so on, says to the visiting scholar bluntly, nice of you to say that, but please come after a year." And the king gets busy with some other thing to do. The scholar is flabbergasted, shocked. He goes home. Next year he comes again. Not to stretch the story too long, he is again told, "Come after one more year." The scholar comes 4 or 5 times like that. Every time he is told, "Very happy to know you know Bhagavatam very well. but come next time. And then the scholar comes home, returns home, and is very depressed. But then he does some introspection. He does a bit of real intense soul searching, which most of us don't do. When we win, when we get famous, when we make money, one kind of intoxication carries us away. When we are losing, when we are unpopular, when our image suffers in the society, another kind of scheming begins in us. Oh, actually, I am not interested in anything. I will walk away. But after showing to the society who I am, after proving to them my true worth, I am going to give up everything. So why that after? But that is called ego. Now, in the case of this scholar, he does some true, intense soul searching, sits before his Ishta Devata, let's say Sri Krishna, and talks to Sri Krishna. Why is this king again and again sending me back home? And then from inside his pure heart, he gets the answer. He says, what the king does is up to him. Lord, O Sri Krishna, what matters to me really is not some king's appreciation or some other recognition somewhere else. What matters to me is intense, unconditional love for you. Therefore, now I'm not going to go to the king again. Though he has said, come next year, I'm not going. I will go to a forest. And the scholar goes to a forest. He had some wherewithal. He sets up a little cottage and he goes on studying Srimad Bhagavatam, and he spends time joyously in love of Sri Krishna. He forgets the king. He forgets of so many sadhyas, the expression sadhya sadhana. I want a big house, I want to become famous, I want to reach here, I want to see such and such country, I want to at least once go and have that experience. All of them are sadhya. Sadhya means something that has to be achieved through certain sadhana, which could be resources, which is time, which is karma, action, and so on. This pious scholar gives up entirely hankering after any goal in life. So he is a virakta now. Earlier he was not a virakta or not virakta enough. He is in the forest now and he loves Bhagavatam. He loves Sri Krishna for not anything else. Love for love's own sake. He becomes Jnani Bhakta, so to say. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jijnasurartharti jnani cha bharatarshava. As Gita says in the 7th chapter, 4 kinds of devotees pray to me, love me, and the 4th is Jnani. Jnani loves me, and if you ask him, why do you love me? He says, I don't know. I have no idea. No purpose, no end in mind, no sadhya in mind. The Jnani's bhakti is not a sadhana for some sadhya. There is no sadhana sadhya here. Love itself is everything. Now the story of Sri Ramakrishna ends on a beautiful note. When the pious Bhagavata scholar has completely forgotten everything and is enjoying love of Sri Krishna, one fine morning the king comes with a lot of retinue, with soldiers, with the attendants, and comes to the scholar and says, I had to make inquiries where you are. With great difficulty I found out where exactly you have set up your cottage. And even as the scholar looks at the king prostrates before the scholar and says, kindly teach me Srimad Bhagavatam. Teach me Srimad Bhagavatam, says the king, when the scholar had completely given up the desire to teach X or Y, the desire to write a book, the desire to build a big ashram or some house. He had given up. When he had no intention or no dream of teaching the king, this king, who was very mature person really, this king then wants to know. So there the story ends. Otherwise, no wonder great mystics have laughed at the endeavors of human beings. Once more, this is not to condemn per se, but it is only to show what is higher. It is in no way criticism of any cause. If somebody wants to run orphanages, somebody wants to start a blind school, somebody is a patriot, works for his country, all of them have a place of their own. They are nishkāma karma. He is not doing for himself. But then, what truly brings to one lasting peace is neither sakāma karma nor nishkāma karma. Normally, students ask a question. All right, so does it mean we should give up now? I have just started collecting funds for a charitable hospital. You want me to stop that and give all these donation funds to your ashram? Student asks. We say it is not by going to the opposite. You are excited by an idea of starting a charitable hospital, and now if you look down at it and suddenly put the brakes, you won't end up anywhere. Whatever you are doing, continue to do, but continue inquiry. Even as you are in karma, you see the ground reality is all of us are caught in some karma. All of us have our priorities. None of us can say, all right, tomorrow onwards I'm going to change my priority. It won't happen. You can't change the software in your head overnight like that. Be whoever you are, be whatever you are. Then, are we resigning to our fate? That is not the issue. Hear carefully, listen carefully. Be whatever you are, but rather than giving up your work which you are doing, what you need to do is examine your work. Because by examining what you are doing, by understanding the operation of the self, by yourself directly seeing how your ego is working, there will be change. Then, not by your deciding to give up, but because of a change in perception, you will give up. Not by deciding to not pursue money, but by no more perceiving money as the source of happiness, you no more perceive it as the source of happiness, you will stop pursuing it. Go to the root. Like there was a saying which I read yesterday by Sri Anandamayi Ma. She says, you don't water the leaves to grow a tree. You water the roots. Likewise, nurture your mind, and in your mind develop love of God. Outwardly, the leaves and the fruits, the shoots and the branches are the outer expressions. For a tree to grow well, it should get nourishment at the roots. Likewise here, the root of our egoism is false seeing, false perception. We need to go to the roots Who am I inquiry, in fact, deals with that. Call it who am I, call it what am I. It's not a superficial affair. Who am I? I am the third son of my father. That is a superficial answer. What am I? I am a MD of a company. That's a superficial answer. Who am I? What am I? Whatever way you put it, in this context is to examine what is that image to which I am clinging. What are my values? What makes me get excited? Looking at wealth, looking at somebody's looks, looking at somebody's name and fame, do we get excited? Watch that excitement. What that special feeling. Then in that watching, there is examination. And in that examination, lot of inner change takes place. So let me conclude saying, by calling all activities and endeavors, even the so-called noble endeavors, a matter of the blind leading the blind, the Upanishad is not getting into the business of don't do it and do this. The Upanishad is not on the plane of do's and don'ts. It throws light, and then in its own subtle way, the Vedanta asks us to re-examine our life, and the necessary shift in consciousness, the necessary shift in perception takes place. When it takes place, one knows that one is no more in the domain of karma, one is free as pure awareness. This is the vision of the Upanishads. It is all about understanding our life on a broader canvas. It is all about getting the bigger picture. It is about seeing distance, not being caught with some narrow tunnel vision or seeing only whatever is close by. See far. Have the dura drishti, and then you will see that things change, things happen on their own. It's not about criticizing anybody. Hey, he is doing all that noble work. That is another form of ego, okay? No, it's not about judging X or Y. It's all about gently understanding ourselves. Why judge anybody? Why cry foul about anybody? Why name somebody egoistic? Have we overcome our ego? Let's throw light on the operation of our own ego. In summary, this blind leading the blind is light thrown upon the domain of egoism. In the domain of egoism, in the frame of reference of egoism, no matter what you do, it is blind leading the blind. In the domain of true wisdom, there is no more this predicament. In the domain of true wisdom, one lives in spontaneous, natural love for the one which knows no divisions. Om Hari Om. Let me see if somebody has a question to ask. Okay. me see whether some text questions are there. There seems to be one text question. Okay. Okay, it says, A.R. Ganti has a question. No doubt we should all aim at getting a sense of detachment, but there is a possibility of attaining a sense of dullness and complacency, which might take us away from the joy of living. How do we avoid this? That is by, I think, Vijay Lakshmi. Yeah, therefore, I also touched upon in my talk, if we say, okay, I don't want to be either the blind that are leading or the blind that are led, I'm going to give up all my work. Definitely we will sink into dullness. In fact, a lot of people who join spiritual programs become dull. Alas. That's not the problem with spirituality, but they, without really preparing for that giving up, they give up prematurely. Therefore, to answer in a concrete way your question, we must not give up what we are doing. On the contrary, we must try to do more effectively and, for example, try to see that the benefit of our work reaches a larger number of people, or the benefit of whatever we are doing reaches the other person more deeply, right? So we must go and improve our quality of karma. One must not hastily give up action. So in that, trying to serve people better in a more effective manner, as I said, either let your work reach more people in terms of the benefits, or even if it's a few people, reach them more deeply, either way, horizontally or vertically, then you will find suddenly there is detachment coming up in a natural way. Whereas when we force renunciation upon ourselves, there is no true detachment, there is only dullness. Then A.R. Ganti has this very nice question. So who is leading and who is led? Yes, those who are talented, who have some gifts, who have some wealth or power, etc., they are leading. And those who have less power, less talent, etc., are led. But Upanishad calls both of them blind, because the wealthy, the powerful, the talented and the gifted are not spiritually awakened. They, because of their wealth or power, are able to set the standards. Wealthy nations make all nations follow them. Wealthy churches, wealthy temples, wealthy ashrams make everybody chant what they were chanting. That is because of their wealth and certain, today you have in the corporate world, the word marketing skills. So you have better marketing skills, so you will sell even a poor product, far better than somebody else who has a better product but doesn't have marketing skills. So blind leading the blind is those who are with some advantage. In the olden days, I was told by somebody from centuries ago, the Europeans came and they had some special cannons and guns, and with that they vanquished the natives in many countries, started ruling over them. And they wrote the history finally. They wrote everything about their conquest and the native civilization. But now slowly upon doing research we know that there was a lot of other sides to history. So because they had that advantage, they had that gunpowder or they had that special machinery, they as though became a superior race, which is not true. So likewise, in so many ways, today science and technology is making a lot of people become their role model. God save them and God save those who are taking them as role models. Just because somebody has a big degree in technology or medicine, just because somebody is working for NASA or some other big organization, in God's eyes it means nothing. These are all, superficial things. So your question is who is leading and who is led? That is not the issue of the Upanishad. Upanishad is saying whoever is leading and whoever is led, both are spiritually ignorant. Therefore, today's scientists who are leading the world, who are today's technocrats, Upanishad would say they are all blind. Steve Jobs was blind, sorry to say it. Many people adore him, God bless him. But he had no spiritual vision. But his talent, his creativity, or his push, his wanting perfection in the gadgets that he brought out one after another, they do fascinate us. That's it. But otherwise, has he brought sorrow of human beings or humanity down? Spirituality is concerned with the ending of sorrow, ending of fear, ending of disharmony. Spirituality is concerned with eliminating negativity in human life. So that is not achieved by all the science and technology. They are all okay for some show and. So that is the whole point. Who is leading, who is led? All the talented people, all the powerful people are leading. Less powerful are led. But both the powerful and the less powerful are spiritually ignorant. That is the point. So let me see if anybody raised a hand meanwhile. Earlier there was no raised hand. Does Vijayalakshmi have another question? No, same question. There is a question mark. That is text. And here Ganti also is a text. Yeah. So two text questions were asked, but not any by voicing it out. Okay, now Chris Chilupuri is asking a question. Let me unmute his. Yes, Radhakrishnan.
Hari Om Swamiji. Thank you very much for something that you mentioned perhaps 9 months ago that resonates with your talk today for me, just personally. So it's more an expression of gratitude and to see what perspectives you have to offer. 9 months ago, maybe 7 or 8 months ago, you mentioned Atmananda Upanishad, Sri Krishna Menon, Atmananda.
Atmananda, yeah, Swami Atmananda.
You recommended that, and so
you read up his literature.
Just the Upanishad, yes, the two volumes, absolutely. But reading is one thing. I'm talking about leading and led, not reading.
Yeah.
It's easy to read, but to appreciate the logic and the very careful way in which he opens up new dimensions of contemplation. He is still a leader, and I am still led. And this goes perhaps slightly beyond just appreciating the role of ego in one's life. It's slightly, it leads us beyond that little aspect of appreciating the ego to something larger. It is still a leader and a led. Maybe in an absolute sense, it is ignorance, but it's very difficult to accept it as blindness. So,
yeah, blindness may sound as too strong an expression. So that has to be appreciated in the context. In a certain context, that language is used. So would you say The expression should have been both are not perfect yet.
Okay. That's all right.
Both are not perfect yet. Otherwise, yeah, I also began saying we are not condemning anyone, but in a certain context, because it's only the passion for liberation. It is the intense passion for total freedom that makes the rishi come out with a strong expression, calling everybody blind. It's like, the classification. Either you are enlightened or you are ignorant. There's no third category. That's one approach.
No, I understood. But I wanted to thank you.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to thank you. I understand. I wanted to thank you for that direction. It's close to 9 months ago. And sometimes it takes as little as 2 or 3 sentences to occupy 1 hour or 2 hours of contemplation. And it's very powerful. And it's definitely leading one's mind in a direction. And very, very powerful. Thank you so much.
Okay. Right. So, before we conclude, I'll quickly see whether any other hand is raised. That's about it. All right. Namaste. See you again.
Pranam Swami.
Namaste. Namaste.